Glad to be here. First, I'd like to share something that's happening in my life. I hope it continues. I want you to watch. Don't know how long it's going to last, but it's a wonderful feeling, let me tell you. First of all, I'm a charter member. I've been around a long time. Had a wonderful time in our association. I turn on a 1018 one way, and I have a 2-foot extension. Do a lot of restoration. I do love doing finials, throwing tops, the hand spinners, Christmas ornaments, and maybe the thing I'm best known for is I have the smallest shop in the world, it seems like. Wayne mentioned a man by the name of Rudy Oslonik. Rudy is famous for his candlesticks. He's also famous for a rolling pin that he designed. It was a very popular item here until the wood got so expensive you couldn't make them. Anyway, Rudy was a founding father for the AAW, and he taught school at a vocational college in Kentucky. His wife had a gift shop somewhere up there that he had access to a lot of people coming through and buying. And he made the candlesticks. I've heard 2 different stories. One was that he had turned 15,000 of the candlesticks. The other was that he had put 5 kids through college. I would believe either one of those. He had a student by the name of Nick Cook. Nick Cook is a name you may recognize. He's probably the best-known spindle turner, production turner in the United States today. He shows up at most symposiums. Wonderful guy. I had the chance to talk to him briefly here a while back, and he's just a really, really nice guy. And one of the things that Nick told me was that Rudy Oslonik had given him some advice. He said, "Bob, it was the best advice I ever had." He said, "Find something small that you can do rapidly and well." He said, "You'll make more money than you'll ever make turning bowls." And so Nick said, "Boy," said, "that's exactly what I did." So what's good enough for Nick Cook is good enough for Bob Jarrett. First of all, I want to give you some good news. I want to give you some bad news. And one of the bad news is that if you want to get better, you got to practice. Folks, you just don't get better coming to meetings. What I'd like to suggest to you is that you keep a supply of wood in your shop, a limb wood, green. Every time you go to the shop, the first thing you do is you pick up that piece and make chips out of it. It's wonderful practice, and you will show an improvement. The good news is the practice is a hell of a lot of fun. It just gives you a really good feeling. When I look at the classes that we had down at Moore Norman and up here, I see 2 mistakes that I really want to talk about. One is the sharpening aspect of it. We're not going to go into a lot of sharpening, but I would like for you to realize how important sharpening is. Folks, if you can't sharpen, you can't turn any better than you can sharpen. So make that a priority. One of the things I can offer to you is at the classes we have 10 sets of tools, and we sharpen those before we begin in the morning and before we begin in the afternoon. Come down and we'll help you learn to sharpen. One of the really important things on sharpening, and I have much more trouble with this one than I do the actual sharpening of the tools, is keeping my wheel round and smooth. And without those, your wheel is not going to help you. I would like to make some comments here, and I'm going to read these because I can't remember them. If you can see the edge, you don't have an edge. Sharpen the bevel, not the edge. Don't get in a hurry or use a heavy hand. Sharpen often, especially before the final cut. You are on the edge when you see just a few sparks come over the top. The second item that I wanted to talk about was failure to rub the bevel. I picked up Wood Turner Design magazine here just a few days ago, a week or so, maybe a little longer than that. And there was a lady by the name of Kathy Kowalski, had an article. Kathy is a well-known turner. And guess what? She says rubbing the bevel is a misnomer. Doesn't happen. If you're rubbing the bevel, you can't cut. I'm not sure exactly what she was talking about, but we all know that you have to rub the bevel to burnish the wood, and it follows the edge. One of the things I would like to mention that you never hear anybody talk about is the edge of the cut, making the cut. I think that the rubbing the bevel is only on a very small part of that tool, just a short ways up. Now, if that bevel is where it needs to be, you will make a penetrating cut, you will create a small facet. That's why you need to make one cut completing. And when you cut that facet, you need to get it lined up. If you go too deep, you dig in. If you go too shallow, you come out. So you've got to keep it in the middle. Now that cut, making the curl come up, will force the tool down against the cut part and will burnish the wood for you. And folks, it's just really important that you do rub the bevel, even if Kathy says you can't do it. The other thing is very few people realize how far you have to go to make a complete cut. And I'd like to demonstrate some of that for you. Okay, now I'm going to cut right over here, and I'm going to cut the end off, the edge. I don't know if you can see what's happening, but I'm making a cut. Now, folks, I'm starting to build the line. I want this to look like a ball. Now I'm using a 3/8 inch spindle gouge, and it's cutting much rougher than I would like, but I want to get it down so that when I use the skew, I'm not having to take big cuts. Now then, I'm going to make the cut with the skew, and you can really see how far I have to come to make this where I want it. What happened? I got over here and I was trying to take too big a cut. Now then, maybe we can get through this time. Now that cut is fair. Let's see if I can go all the way down. Okay. Now, remember, that cut has to come over here. No other way around. It has to come over there. Now, the skew has kind of a bad name. But, folks, I do some things with the skew that I'd hate to do with any other thing. One of the things is rolling beads. Redesign opportunities. Now, I think all of us have used the burning wire. I've had really good luck with this one. It's 22 gauge steel wire. I get it from Ace. It's a couple of dowel pins, and I have drilled two 16-inch holes through both ends. I put the wire through. I bring it over, I bring it back, I bring it back and stick it up in here so that when you're looking at it, there is nothing in there that would hurt you in any way, shape, or form. Seems to work really, really well. And the paint's on there so I can find the thing. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, one of the things that we did in the class a while back, Carl Short came down and did some a Christmas ornament. Well, that's not the one I want. And he used a piece of 3 by 3 by 8, I think. And I thought, well, maybe we can do this a little easier, not use as much material and do it a little quicker. And so this is my effort to make a Christmas ornament out of this little piece of soft maple. Maple is about 2 1/8 wide. It's about 2 3/8 long, and I have a center line cut here. Now that center line is where we're going to cut with our 3/16" parting tool. Now I'll show you why I use the big parting tool in just a second. Now we're just going to hollow this out, I hope. Yes. Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah. Okay, now. Now, I'm sorry, I can't show you that looking down into it. Can you see what this looks like?
Check the monitor, Bob.
Pardon?
Monitor in front of you.
Oh, okay. Here I have a half-inch bit in a Jacob's chuck. I tell you, this particular now then we have a guide that we don't have to measure, and we can go ahead and cut this out. Keep that out of my elbow, maybe. And I want about 1/4 of an inch here, and we're going to guess at it. Okay. We'll call that good. Now we're doing this one just exactly like we did the last one. The thing I really like about this is that we don't have to worry about measuring it. You can see what's going on. Now, one of the things that Carl did is he simply marked on the piece where okay, and I'm what we're using now is just plain old CA glue. I know this never happens to you, but sometimes I have problems. We're just putting CA glue on that. We'll put it on both because I don't want it coming off. Yeah, almost. One of the things that has happened is I get tired of spilling about half of my CA glue out of the bottle when it falls over. So I came up with this little kit. I don't know how much money it saved me, but I haven't bought glue for a long time that I didn't need.
Bob, what was it? You haven't got back around to why you use your wide parting tool.
Okay, because when you make the wide parting tool in, you're cutting both sides of this. Now, by using the narrow parting tool, I can reach in and cut it in two. Actually, you might be able to get by with the 1/8 parting tool. Oh, not a little bit. It's a pretty good angle. I'm sorry about that. Yes, that's a good point. Pardon?
So it seats back up easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, now here's we're going to use that cut that we demonstrated. We're going to come all the way over here.
Bob, the comment back here was you can do that cut with sandpaper too.
Yeah. And I heard of a lady in California that runs a production shop out there, and she turned in a bunch of rosettes and so forth, and she said that they had never sanded them, and so I believe her, but I'm not to that point yet. I'll guarantee you. At least.
How many of these have you made?
Not many. Probably 3, 4.
100?
No. No, I just learned about it about 3 weeks ago from Carl. And then I changed it.
You modified it.
Looks like it works too.
Where is Carl? Wow.
I have the same problem at home too. I'd like to blame it on it. Okay, what I'm putting in now is a wooden mandrel. It's got a 1/2 inch thing, and it's just a hair tight. So we'll take it down just a hair, recenter it. Now all you got to do is find the piece. Good. My dad used to do that to me. And I wonder how in the world he'd do that. Well, he does that because Bob doesn't pay attention. Using a 3/8 inch spindle gouge, and we're just beautiful part about this is we won't put it together tonight, and I can take it home and sand it out and so forth and save the piece. Okay, so now you've got your, where's a good place to look at it? Right here? Okay. Right there. Right there. Okay. And we'll pass this around later. Is this a number 3 taper? Okay, now we're going to make the finials. I use a safety drive. It's the old dead center out of my old shopsmith. So I did get something good out of my shopsmith. Okay, now this is going to be the top finial. Now the reason I do it like this is because I use calipers, but I've never yet found a caliper that's exactly like the one that I want. Pardon?
You decide that you're intending to go with your ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we did first. And the way we do it this way so that we can do that. Now, one of the things is that it doesn't make any difference how far the point sticks up here. But here it's going to stick up here, and I want it there, number one, for support, but number two, I also want it there so that I can drill a hole right in the middle and put in a fish hook. And so now, where does this go? There we go.
Right there, Bob.
Wave it around up there. We hit. There you go. Just like that.
Yeah.
Bob, how big was that block when you started with on the top pinion? Horse height or
2 inches.
the top pinion?
Yeah, I just cut these. I cut up a bunch because I use them on a birdhouse. I'll show you how to make a birdhouse next. Okay. What I did is I left just a hair, and I can get to this, so I'm going to just cut this thing out. I think I'm about right with the tenon. Now, I want it this way because I want to try the tenon. Now, okay, we went from an eighth or a 3/8 to a quarter here. Now we're going to finish this up here in a bit. Now, one of the things that I do not want to do is I do not want to run in to the hole that point left. One of the things when you're doing these is try to keep your tool rest up as close as you can. It says 1854. At home, I think I turn around 3,000. Speed, number one is put your piece in, start it. If it shakes, it's too fast. Slow it up. There are times when speed really helps. For instance, if you're making a cylinder out of a 4x4, when you put that 4x4, it sinks to you. Now, if you will turn it up, then you're turning less air. You're turning the same amount of air, but you're turning it much faster, and it will go much easier for you at the faster speed. Jimmy Clues said, yes, go ahead and make it go faster, and I think I've improved my turning probably a great deal since I took the class 3 or 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now, Sidney Droza is considered kind of the guru of finials. I'm not sure she would approve of this technique because she turns hers out of a chuck. And I kind of reserve the chuck for an emergency. If in fact I do break this, then I'll put this back in the chuck, center it up, and then I'll turn it that way. Now I've got a pretty good bite on it in there. I don't know just exactly why, but I've got a pretty good bite. So if I push back, I can sand that pretty well.
Hold it up, Bob. Bob, just hold it up to the crowd. How about that?
Now, one of the things I forgot to do is that this has a pretty distinctive middle point here. Well, I forgot that I needed to burn that. And I would burn that, and I would burn one on each side to make them balanced. So, anyway, I'll just pass it around. The top is a looser fit than normal. The bottom is pretty good fit.
Bob, the question I have for you, I know how you like proportions and stuff. Do you have a proportion of the top finial versus the ball versus the bottom finial?
Let me see that just a second, Gary. John.
That's what
I've had real good luck with this design. I mean, at least You know, I like it. And in this one, this is a little over 2. This is a little under 1. And I think that's probably a pretty good thing. And I'm one of the guys that I believe in less is more. You know, you can put a whole lot of more work on it, but I don't think it looks nearly as well.
Your bottom finial is a little bit longer than 2. Your ball is
The bottom finial, I think, was over 4.5, 4 3/4 maybe.
4 3/4, and our ball is 2, and then I got a 1 inch.
Actually, the ball is you want to make a ball out of that. So to make a ball out of it, you know, I take 3/16 out with a parting tool. So whatever it's the width plus 3/16 is your length.
You start with 2 3/8 block. Start with, so you're almost 2 inches, a little over 2 inches on your ball.
On both, I think.
And then you got 4 on your bottom finial, and then a little over 1 inch on your top.
Yep. Okay, and what we're going to do here is I make an ornament called birdhouse. I call it birdhouse, I don't know. And I thought it might be kind of fun to show you how we do that. It starts with about 1 3/4 inch piece here. I use the colored wood. And I split the thing, which I think this makes about 1 1/4 or so across. I drill an opening. I drill a hole for the perch, and then I glue it on. Now I've cut all this on my saw, got it as accurate as I can, cut this as square as I can, and then I glue it on with CA glue. I used to get it from Craft Supply. Rutland manufactures it, and I can't find a place that sells it in any reasonable quantities. They want something like you will want you to buy six sheets. Now, I've already marked this so that when I come up to that mark, I've left about 1/8 or a little 3/16 maybe at the bottom. Now, I'm going to have to drill it twice, but I want that support that the glue gives me for the 5/8 inch bit. Pardon?
You drilled through that piece.
No, I left an 1/8 or 3/16 because I want the glue.
Sold a few of during Christmas, right?
Pardon?
Did you tell me you sold a few of these during
I've sold a bunch. I used to, when I could buy this stuff, I'd make up 2 or 3 of the, I think it's 9 by 9, 2 and 5/8 inches thick. I'd go through 2 of those in the Christmas. Okay, this is just a 1/2 inch scraper. It'll go in here. It's kind of a trade-off whether you're going to have some support or not support. So the reason I finished this is so I can see how thin I need to make this, the inside edge. Remember, when you're using a scraper, you always be wanting to hold that, you want to be above center. Okay, now we don't want to go back into there. So we're just going to take this out of the waste block. And we're going to cut a little relief area here. What'd I forget to do? Drill out the bottom. Sometimes we get by with this and sometimes we don't. It's happened before. Not quite sure what happened. The hole still wasn't through. So, but anyway, if you drill your hole, then you can cut it out and you're there. Okay, got one more little item here. Pardon? Yes, I do. And this one was a custom made that was never picked up, and she didn't want the perch or the hole, and so it doesn't have that, but it has everything else. The top is exactly like the other one, except little different size maybe, and the bottom is the same.
If you don't put a hole and a perch on it, how does the bird get in it, Bob?
I don't know. It wasn't for me. It was for somebody else. I always put bird. Now, here's something I do with these that I think helps me get centered. Okay, what I have here, we're making a pillbox. And what we have here is a round cylinder with a place for a chuck and a 5/8 inch hole. No, this one, yeah, 5/8 inch hole drilled in this one. This one is the same thing, except it has a 3/8 inch hole, and it comes down to about here or so. Now, what we want to do is mark a little over 1, maybe 1 1/8. And this is going to be the part that slips over the what we're doing is we're just cutting this to be 5/8 of an inch. I think we've got quite a ways to go. Now the advantage of doing it this way is you can take this off and just using that 1/2 inch scraper. Hope we've got a taper on it. There's a lot of ways you can cut this down. I've had better luck with the scrapers than anything else. Now this is a big long tenon on here, mortise. But I don't want it coming apart either. Now we're going to get rid of the chuck. I'm going to put the drive center back in. We've got our centers marked. I don't see any sense in. And it doesn't match up exactly. Comes close, but anyway. Here's this one. Enjoyed it? Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did doing it.